Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the Marketing and Metrics Masterclass here with Volition Advisors. My name is Karen Cornelson, and I'm the Manager of Marketing and Communications for KAST, and I'm also the manager of the Nelson Innovation Center. And before we jump in here with Mira, I just want to say a few quick things about KAST. I just want to let you all know about a new program we've launched called the Digital Economy Rapid Response and Resiliency Program, or we call it DER3 for short. It's basically for anyone who needs help entering or expanding into the digital economy. So if you or someone you know needs help getting online, definitely check out kast.com/DER3. I'll put the link in the chat. It's no cost, no obligation, and you get free advisory services and coaching for your business. It's open to all entrepreneurs, startups, and businesses in any sector in the Kootenays. So definitely check it out. And then we also have the Kootenay Pitch Competition. We're having event 2 on February 4th, and applications are now open till December 14th. So it's basically the Kootenay's version of Dragon's Den. It's amazing. We just had our first one on November 12th, where 3 entrepreneurs went head to head in front of a panel of judges. It was a really good time. So get your applications in before December 14th if you have an innovative idea or business you want to pitch. So yeah, if I'll also put actually my email in the chat too. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly. So without further ado, I'm really pleased to present our presenter today, Mira. She is a marketing and growth advisor at Volition, as well as a vice president of marketing at the crowdfunding platform Fundraiser. She's also a marketing guest lecturer at Langara, BCIT, and Global Startup School. So for Mira, successful digital marketing is a mix of excellent execution, product market fit, data-driven business intelligence, and customer empathy. She enjoys the process of helping entrepreneurs discover their customers and deliver the value of their intentions and products. Mira, we're so happy to have you. I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you so much, Karen, and welcome everyone to the masterclass that we have today. And as Karen mentioned a little bit about my background, I'm a full stack marketer, so I cover all the different parts of marketing, starting from strategic marketing up to very practical parts such as SEO optimization, digital marketing, and all of that. So today's masterclass is going to be based mostly on all the different insights and different knowledge that I got from working with those, with the different startups. So I'd like to start sharing my screen so we can look at the presentation. Okay, sent. Yes, so I'm just a little bit about Volition. I'm part of Volition, company advisory firm called Volition, and we are an advisory startup firm when we have different 11 expert advisors in different areas, specializing in pitch and presentation, investor strategy, money modeling, marketing and growth, sales and scaling, and so on. So I'd like to just ask before we move on a really quick question in the chat. If you guys are B2B or B2C, what kind of company you're currently trying to build? Okay, I'm seeing some answers. Sarah, B2B, Jane, both. Wendy, B2B, Anna, B2C, okay, both. Alan, hearing that as well. Yeah, awesome. So I guess like we have a full variety of different options here, including both, which is I should actually say a compliment to you guys who are running both options, because it's quite uncommon when you are building the company in both sectors. I'm a marketing strategist both in B2B and B2C, so this is great. I also specialize in multi-site marketplaces, which is always a lot of fun for marketers to work with. So I guess like today we will be, the reason why I'm asking is because we will be leaning towards a little more B2B than B2C, but there will be a lot of practical help in B2C as well. And then one thing that I wanted to mention before we dive in is I'm going to provide you with a workbook after this, which is like a little small like guide that has a lot of different questions and a little more directional help in terms of figuring out what are the next steps and what are the priorities that you're going to be focusing next if you are trying to spearhead right now your marketing strategy. So from that perspective, you will get that in the email later, probably together with the with the recording of this masterclass. So also I wanted to mention that please put the questions in Q&A section, even if we're in the middle of the presentation and you have something to ask. And after we finish the session, we will be able to look at those questions and move there. So without just talking too much about the intro part, let's dive into the presentation, because there are so many different areas that we'll have to cover today, and I'll just explain you. So as I was mentioning before, usually one of the most important things that happen when we start talking with the entrepreneurs is we're trying to answer the questions of what, where, who, when, why, how, and so on. So all those questions are big. All of them are really, really important. And the question of priority becomes very, very important. So every time we do anything, like in terms of figuring out what are the priorities, we often feel like this, which is everything seems important. There are 19 different channels in marketing that you have to focus on. There are different types of personas. There's a limitation in budget. There's limitation in resources. So what are you going to do? So from that perspective, I just want to kind of like say that when you plan anything, please make sure you prioritize and focus on 1, 2, 3 things at a time, and do not try to go and spray and pray and hope that something will return back. Because in digital marketing, it is absolutely critically important to be focused and be really, really clear why you're doing it and how you're going to be attacking one problem at a time. So one thing that I wanted to mention is the masterclass today is going to be in the shape of reverse engineering. So when we're saying reverse engineering, we mean what is our North Star, what we're trying to achieve here as entrepreneurs or marketers, and we'll try to roll back from there and try to look at different levers and influencers that influence our metric. And as marketers, we also own revenue. It's not only sales, it's not only the revenue teams, it is actually digital marketers as well. So that's why I'm keeping revenue. And for entrepreneurs, I mean, like, we're all doing this for making money. So revenue is a key north metric in this reverse engineered process. So how are we going to get there? So revenue is, if we look for a traditional SaaS example, then revenue is going to come from 3 different buckets. The first bucket is the number of customers that we're bringing. The second part is the price per product unit. And the third part is the repeat ratio. So if we look at the numbers as an example, then for example, 1,000 customers with the price per unit $99, with the repeat ratio is 12, for example, they buy every month, which is the normal SaaS, traditional SaaS business. As a final revenue, you're going to be making $1 million a year. So if we look at the parts of marketing and who owns what, we can say that number of customers is usually a marketing ownership. Price per product unit is revenue plus marketing, and repeat ratio is the growth marketing unit. So usually if we think from the perspective of what is the difference between marketing and growth marketing, then digital marketing is usually about top of the funnel and acquisition flow, while repeat ratio, as you can see, like growth marketing is all about bottom of the funnel and in the middle of the funnel, which is about referral marketing, about optimization of the revenue, optimization of the activation, and of course, repeat ratio. So if we look from that perspective, then what are the main levers underneath each category that we can influence here? So for number of customers, if we're bringing enough traffic to the website, that will eventually influence the number of customers that we have. So today we'll be looking at this bucket separately. There's also the second part, which is the number of leads. So the difference between traffic and leads is that traffic is usually anonymized traffic, and we're not quite sure who those people are, while the leads, we already know who they are, but they're not our customers just yet. They're just in their journey to become our customers. So, and we will be looking, like today, we'll be looking at the ways how to optimize the number of leads as well. Brand awareness is a big influencer of marketing, and it's also a big influencer of the final revenue and the whole experience that the people will be getting. So brand awareness is a big thing. So under brand awareness, we usually talk about press coverage, we talk about sponsorships, there's reputational stuff that we have to do, and the trust campaigns that we need to run to make sure that we have the right brand presence. And then we will be looking a little bit into Net Promoter Score, which helps us identify the referral program, word of mouth incentive program, and help us understand and measure how many people are actually going and recommending our product to others. And this part, I should admit, is becoming more and more important these days because the acquisition channels, the traditional channels, are becoming really expensive. Or, for example, SEO is becoming hard to play. So more and more marketers are currently looking at Net Promoter Score type of activities for driving word of mouth and having more referral programs because it usually tends to be cheaper. So if we move on to price per unit and the areas we're going to be looking today, it's product market fit, very important question to understand if you are positioning your product in the right way and you're putting the right price tag there. So for product market fit, it is organic traction, it is all the sales resistance, conversion rates, retention, product usage, all those categories go into product market fit. And what we'll be covering today is we will be talking about how to identify that you achieved product market fit versus you didn't achieve product market fit. And hopefully you, if you have like questions, pop me about that because this is one of the most asked questions usually. In terms of the revenue maximization, there is some part which is dedicated to revenue maximization, which is upgrade path, different feature and service extensions, price increase, value metrics, and so on. So what I wanted to mention today is that revenue maximization is usually more about B2B, and all these metrics that I'm having here about upgrade path and all of that is more about B2B. And B2C, it is usually finding the right price increase and finding how are you going to extend your line of products, and how are you going to make sure that the people you're getting a higher lifetime value from the customers. In the repeat ratio, some of the areas we'll be taking a look at is going to be retention, again, like lifetime value, purchase frequency, repeat purchase, upgrade probability. All those are very highly important metrics in retention. Churn is how many people are staying and how many people are actually not staying and the reasons why they're not staying. So the way how we're usually calculating churn is we're looking at customer churn rate, we're looking at net dollar churn, gross dollar churn, and so on. If you're having a lot of churn and not a lot of retention, it is very hard to get the revenue you want and build a sustainable business. It will be very, very expensive to run and to drive the traffic all the time without actually influencing and retaining your customers. Two other factors that we will be quickly taking a look at today is the stickiness and feedback loops. So stickiness is a big and important topic as well as net promoter score, because the more your customer sticky with you, the more they stay and enjoy the experience they're getting, the more likely they will increase your net promoter score by going and referring other customers, which is by the end of the day is a free marketing for you, which drives your costs down and brings your efficiency up. So that's why stickiness is really important. And feedback loops is all about customer satisfaction rate, again, like user behavior observation and optimizing and making sure you're getting the feedback, not only broadcasting one way. So as you can see, we have a lot of ground to cover today. Hopefully, you will be able to deep dive and understand each part and apply to your own case. If not, like if it feels like this is, you would like to come back, as I said, there will be a video recording, so you will be able to watch it later. And if you want to kind of like capture what are the metrics and all of that, it will be staying here. We will not talk about metrics today. We will talk more about what it is, what kind of activities and tactics there are, and what are the main tips for you to get about each area. So we just quickly talked about the map, and we just quickly talked about the way how we can reverse engineer the final metric. But all of that becomes absolutely inaccessible to us if we're not understanding our customer. So understanding our customer comes before we start all these activities. The reason for that is if you are not understanding your customer, it will be very hard for you to drive the traffic. It will be very hard for you to optimize and have the intuition around what is working, what's not working, as well as understanding how you're going to be pricing, what kind of pricing you can put on your product. So if we take a look at the personas, which is usually the first step to take towards understanding your customer. I'm not quite sure if you guys currently have your personas or not, but it's a very recommended activity. So persona building is basically hypothesizing and figuring out who you think your best customer is. And if it's more than one, it's okay. And it's just the anecdotal persona. It doesn't necessarily have to be a real person. It's just someone who you think should buy from you and who should enjoy your product the most. And when you're developing persona, one important tip that I would like to give to you is do not only focus on personas demographical information. So usually we talk about their age, their occupation, their educational level, the amount of money they earn every year, the location where they live, and so on. So those are demographical traits that we usually describe of the persona. But what we need to focus more is on their psychographical stuff, which is the goals, their frustrations, what is the reason why they pick that profession, how they're going to be growing their career, or what kind of life they're imagining and lifestyle they're imagining to yourself. And when you bring that psychographical information to demographical, this is when that person becomes real. The reason why we develop the persona is when we see and when we target and when we create marketing activities, we'll have to know and we'll have to identify who we're doing it for. So for example, if we're doing it for Jill, then we know that Jill will probably be hanging out in Instagram and not less in Facebook. And that already gives us and informs us insights in terms of where we need to be building and putting our effort into. Knowing the goals and frustrations and motivations will help us understand the pain points that the person is currently experiencing, which is the core reason why they're using the product that we are selling. So from that perspective, like I'm just giving you one example of who the persona, how the persona mapping should look like. And as I said, it shouldn't be the real person. The persona shouldn't be rigid. It can be fluid, but having persona is always better. And having multiple personas could help you understand the primary, secondary, third level customers for you. So one thing that I wanted to mention is I often notice that when you develop personas, that persona might be out to date in 6 months or in 1 year. And that's absolutely normal. If you ever come to the point when you say, oh, you know what, like my persona is actually not like it wasn't true 6 months ago, that doesn't mean that you're a bad marketer or you don't know your target audience. It means that you're just looking for finding the right customer. So for example, I'm giving here the early persona that Tesla developed. So they were looking at business executives, entrepreneurs, city dwellers, you know, early adopters, upper class, and then they ended up with new target market who is the Generation Y, mid 20s, early 40s, middle class working adults. So their persona has shifted as well, and they started from one and they developed a new one. And that development often happens in startup environment when we start from one persona and end up with other persona. But it's just, you know, it's just a matter of going and checking once in a while and thinking, is it still a relevant persona for me? Three things that I wanted to mention in regards to personas is that you usually have three different levels of personas. And it's the best fit customer, it is second level customer, and it's third level customer. So not every persona and not every customer that you will have will be in the same bucket. So best fit customer is usually someone who is excited about your product, get maximum value out of product service, becomes a repeat customer, understand the true value of a product service, and ready to pay the price. So those are the good indicators that you're currently encountering your best fit customers. And the dream of every marketer and entrepreneur is that the entire acquisition strategy is built to bring more best fit customers and have less of second level and third level customers, because we're kind of like spending money on acquiring not the people who are not fully enjoying the product or does not necessarily understand the maximum value of it. The second level customer is someone who also understands your value of a product, but they're not as much excited. And they're a paying customer, but they might hesitate to keep using if the pricing changes. And they may use it only certain product features and not the full spectrum. This is more true to B2B environment, not necessarily B2C, because in B2C, we tend to have one product, not necessarily like the multiplications of products. Well, like in B2B, it's more feature driven. So that's why I'm saying here that they might use only certain product features and not the full spectrum. And third level customer is someone who is quite not very sure about what is happening, what's the product value is, prefers to use freemium version of your product. As soon as you increase your price, they are less eager to convert, or they might actually go and hunt for something else. And they're not quite understanding the product functionality fully, and they can easily churn. So those are your third level customers. And it is absolutely normal to have all three. And that's what happens most of the time is you're going to have a small subset of customers who are your best fit customers, second level customers, and third level customers, probably the largest bucket. But what you have to work on, and the one question that you have to keep asking yourself is there anything I could do to bring third level customer into second level customer and second level customer into best fit customer? And that's all the work that you have to keep doing on explaining what the product features are, what kind of value you're bringing, what kind of service, and of course, optimizing your channels of acquisition. Because one challenge could be in terms of, if the customer, if you are explaining the value properly. And the second part is about if you are at the right spots of acquisition and if you're targeting the right people. So think for a second and kind of like assess for yourself if you're doing enough right now in this area. Yeah, so one thing here is you have to remember also that there are controllable and uncontrollable factors for a customer upgrade and improvement. So you also have to be really clear on things that you can control over things you cannot control. So for example, you cannot control that every single customer that you will be acquiring is going to be your best fit customer. It's a very, like, you cannot just guarantee that. But at the same time, the controllable factor is like, do I have a good value explanation or a good email nurture campaign that helps the third level customer understand the value and eventually become the best fit customer. So that's the difference. The next one I wanted to mention is the customer journey map development. So in terms of the inbound optimization, say like when we say inbound and outbound, inbound is everybody who comes to you and they find you themselves, while the outbound is when you specifically target them and try to acquire them in other instances than your own website. So customer journey map development is really important to understand the journey that your customers are getting through, and improve and optimize based on the different areas of optimization that you have identified. So there are several things that you should be looking at when you're thinking about your customer journey map development. So one is what pain point your prospect is experiencing right now. If you're able to answer that question, that's already great, because that means that you're really connected and you are understanding your customer at a very deep level. Anytime we're selling any service or offering, we're usually trying to give some emotional value on top of also solve some type of pain problem, the pain point that the prospect is experiencing right now. So emotions they feel, urgency, their mental readiness, how does resolution look like? All those questions will help you identify the pain point. The next one is, which channels does your prospect use to search? That's very important to understand, because it will hint you in the right direction if you have any blind spots right now in your strategy. If your customer or prospect is mostly hanging out in LinkedIn, but you're targeting him in Facebook, it is not helping, because you're not actually doing any proper targeting there. The next question you can ask to understand the customer journey is, how do you address the pain and explain the solution? So what is the most relevant and organic way for your prospect to research and find the solution? So if you answer that question, that's already half of the work, because in terms of, again, like we talked about prioritization, this is the area for you to focus on and work on the first. How does your prospect convert and connect with you is also another important area, because if it's a sign up, demo, download, contact form, there are so many different ways how you can convert and capture the person's intent, that you don't necessarily have to go, like they don't necessarily have to go from the moment they saw your product for the first time to the purchase. That often happens in B2C, but in B2B, the journey is a little longer. So according to the statistics, our customer and our prospect needs 5 to 7 interactions with you before they're fully able to become your customer and buy from you. The next question you can ask for a customer journey map development is, how do you onboard and prospect and provide them with the right service? So how do you optimize customers' interaction and experience? If you can give yourself 10 out of 10 in terms of optimization of the customer experience, that's amazing. But if you feel that onboarding experience is not smooth, then that's also influencing your overall target numbers. And it means that this is the area for you to focus on. And how do you turn your repeat customer, how do you turn your regular customer into a repeat customer or an advocate? That is the final step of the customer journey map. So if the customer had a really good, smooth experience with you, they were happy, they understood, they connected with you on the level of, yes, this is the product and this is a service that is bringing me the best value, then at the end of the day, they will be very happy. It means that they will either come and buy from you again, or they become your advocates. And nurturing the customer and expanding the value of the product and service, integrating different referral mechanisms will help you accomplish that. Um, Another thing that I wanted to mention is usually in marketing, we talk about two directions. We talk about leading with pain or leading with gain. So when you're creating your value proposition, or when you're trying to address the pain points, or when you're trying to explain the benefits of your product, you usually take one path. You either go with pain points, or you usually go with the benefits, which is the gain in the situation. So I recommend you to start thinking about your own direction that you're taking. And there is no right or wrong. It's just what is going to be the most effective solution for you, leading with pain or leading with gain. So now we're moving on. Like, so we have identified that we have our best fit customers. We know that we need to optimize their customer journey, and we know that we have to build the personas in order to identify and be able to know where to focus next. So now we're moving on to actually driving the traffic and bringing the number of leads that we would like to have. So from that perspective, traffic to a website is a very, very important point, because if most of your marketing activities are happening inbound, and you are considering that your website is the most important place for you to convert people, it means that you have to focus on your website. So Google Analytics usually provides enough information for startups in the beginning of their analytical data collection, for understanding what's the behavior and what is happening with the people when they land on your website. So things for you to track is the website sessions, time on site, bounce rate, conversion rate, acquisition rate. All those things are possible to see through Google Analytics. So if you are currently not having Google Analytics, please consider doing it. It's just 2 seconds, super easy to integrate, but it will just bring you immense value. And in terms of the behavior and acquisition and conversions, Google Analytics will give you the breakdown of where your traffic is coming from, and that will be a very critical information for you for decision making in terms of the priorities and optimization. So if you're, for example, seeing that most of the traffic is coming from organic, but the quality of the traffic is not good, then you know that you have to work more on your keyword strategy. While if you're having a really good social numbers, then you know that, okay, the social is working. So in terms of like, if you're in the early stage right now, then this will help you identify the early signals and identify what is happening with your website. If you're at the later stage, then this will help you with your scaling up strategy. So you will know where to scale, where to put more effort, and how to multiply the results that you're currently achieved into like 10x. So one suggestion that I would give here is it's very important for you to focus on the website before expanding your acquisition plan. It's one of the most common mistakes that startups make, is they usually go and attack and go and start like creating ads, doing social media work and all of that without actually optimizing and tightening up the website. But at the end of the day, according to the experience that I have, most of the people will check you on your social media. Maybe they'll discover you there, but they'll eventually end up on your website. And the people have expectations about how the website should look like and the information that should be there. So if the journey and as we talked about customer journey, if the onboarding experience and the journey and the CTAs are not optimized enough, it will be a leaky bucket. You will drive all the traffic and you will bring so many different good potential prospects. And because the website is not optimized for converting or not necessarily optimized for sales, those people will just not, will end up not becoming your paid customers. So I will not stop here for long, but I'll just let you know, because you will have all those questions in the workbook. So when you focus on your website, you have to ask for major questions. And that is my website optimized for conversion? Do I have clear product value? Above, below fold CTAs, alternative intent CTAs, centrales? Is my website pain and gain driven? That's what we talked about. Is my website convincing enough? Do I have reviews, about section, why your product, and so on? And is it optimized for a seamless experience? In terms of the clear UX navigation, it's mobile friendly, the site speed and the load time are really good. So all those things really matter. So I'm going to provide you with all those questions later. So don't worry about that. You will be able to sit and deep dive into each part. And I really strongly encourage you to reflect on it and try to give to yourself point from 1 to 10. And if you see that you're 2 on something, that's again like clear area for optimization. So in terms of the number of leads and the brand awareness channels, as I was mentioning before, there are 19 different channels that exist right now where that could potentially bring you the traffic. So it usually takes probably a good chunk of our time with startups where we try to identify the key channels to focus and where to go. As I said, it's always 3 major challenges. It's either time pressure, it is either resources pressure, or it is budget pressure. So as we have all those 3 variables to work on, we'll have to identify and find the best places for us to get the best leads. So from that perspective, let's take a look at the most important and the most common buckets of those channels. And then I will I'll explain you why it's important to stay focused on maximum 3 performing channels. So the first one is Google search. Google search is AdWords, which is the paid version, and organic SEO. So usually your organic SEO will be driving the majority of your traffic, and this is free, but this is long-term. If you're going to play organic SEO game, then you have to make sure that you are not expecting your results next month or next week, because the earliest you're going to get your results is probably 3 to 6 months. And ideally, the more work you put in here, the more longevity it gives. It's a long game to play organic SEO. So if you're picking that battle, it will bring you a lot of traffic and it will bring you a lot of value, but across a certain time span, not necessarily tomorrow. AdWords is a shortcut if you really have budget and if you like to hijack and kind of like get the traffic and let them see your ads in your product, then you can use AdWords and get it done basically. But that will be definitely more expensive. So in terms of social media, we're talking about Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Quora, YouTube. All those channels are considered to be in social media. But one thing that I wanted to mention is dark social. So dark social is everything related to messengers, chat tools, like WhatsApp, Snapchat, personal messaging tools is also considered dark social. It's where you cannot see it's not visible, like the interaction between people is not visible. So that's called dark social. Dark social is becoming very interesting for marketers because the open rates of the messages and advertising that is happening in dark social is higher than 90%, which means that almost every single person you send it will see it. At the same time, there's a flip side. The flip side is that you don't necessarily want to interject into personal conversations, and that's your personal question. If you feel comfortable about going and talking and injecting your ads into someone's private conversation. But because Messenger and WhatsApp belongs to Facebook, Facebook's backend allows you to target effectively into WhatsApp and Messenger if you're interested in that. Quora also has the backend, backend ads. So if you want to target someone based on the questions, you can still do that. It is quite cheap and affordable, so it's quite startup friendly if we go this route as well. Review sites are also one part of traffic generation and lead generation. So things like the review sites such as Trustpilot, G2Crowd, Capterra are really, really important for lead generation and for good results. The reason for that is every time the prospect lands on your website, they will check it out. If they like it, they are more likely to go and say, let me check this company's reviews. So if they see bad reviews or they see no reviews, they get suspicious, and that's where the customer journey will interrupt. So from that perspective, it is very important to have the third-party reviews activated and have the system to collect all those reviews in those places. So Trustpilot is usually B2C, is mostly recommended for B2C, but there are B2B companies as well. G2 Crowd and Capterra, they specialize more in B2B review collection. So viral marketing is referral marketing, word of mouth, and for most of the companies, if they are able to tap into this, they don't necessarily have to worry about the rest. And this means this is a huge compliment. If you're able to get this done, it's a huge compliment towards your product. So for example, Slack, almost 80% of their traffic is direct. And direct means that people come and they say slack.com and they land on the website. They never see the ads. They just know about it. It's the power of the word of mouth. And that's why Slack is Slack, because the community is bringing all the new community. And that's where the viral marketing is so powerful. And for Slack, they don't have to necessarily spend as much money on all the other places because the viral marketing and word of mouth is working really well for them. So offline and PR, it is all the different events, dinners, news coverage. Again, if you're in your early days, you have a great opportunity to jump on the news coverage channel and get as many people talk about you and media covering you because you are newsworthy for them. Later on, if you really want to still make this channel work, then you have to work towards building your media engine and making sure that you're pitching and you have like a separate system for that, because usually in the early days of startup, it's a very high probability, and then the probability drops later. And there are different proprietary channels that you can make work, which is like growing through partnership, lead generation through integrations, lead gen through blogging or email marketing. All those are your own unique platforms that you're leveraging in order to drive leads. So when we're assessing the readiness of a prospect, we usually look at 3 different stages: awareness stage, consideration stage, and decision-making stage. So for awareness stage, it is all about detecting the pain and willing to get educated. It's too early for making a decision, and 95% of the website traffic is usually in the awareness stage. So that means that when they're landing on your website, they're probably not ready to buy just yet. They're just ready to make themselves aware with your product or with a problem that they're trying to find a solution to. But the more they interact, the better system you have for nurturing and nurturing the prospect, the more likely they will move on to the consideration stage. And in the consideration stage, it's all about searching for the right solution, comparing alternative options, and so on. So case studies, success stories, all those things help you with consideration. And the last stage is the decision-making stage, when the prospect is convinced enough and they believe you are the best solution for them, and that's when they're ready to make a decision in the shortest time frame. So knowing that 95% of the website traffic is going to come to you in the awareness and consideration stages, it is critically important for you to have the system for capturing the leads and not necessarily just hoping that they will eventually buy and become your buying prospect, so a buying customer. So from that perspective, please consider, like gated content, signing up to the newsletter, request a consultation, request a demo. All those CTAs are actually targeted to capture this traffic. If we talk about Net Promoter Score, the Net Promoter Score is very important for assessing how much people admire and like your product. So it is super simple to calculate Net Promoter Score. So you just ask your customers a question on a scale from 0 to 10. How likely is that you would recommend my company to your friends, family, or business associates? So the higher the score, actually 10, the better for you. So from that perspective, you just we consider the people who say 9 to 10 as your promoters. That means that they're your raving fans and they're more likely to become your advocates. 7 to 8 is usually passives. There's something they don't like about, maybe they don't understand about your product, so they're less likely to explain it to everybody else, or less likely to introduce you to new customers. And then detractors are people from 0 to 6. So those are the people who are not as much satisfied as we wish they would. So from that perspective, Net Promoter Score is basically taking the number of promoters and subtracting the percentage of detractor respondents. So, for example, if 50% of your promoters respondents, and we have 10% of detractor responders, then what we do is we just take from 50 to we subtract from 50 from 50-10, and then it means that our Net Promoter Score is equal to 40. And 40 Net Promoter Score is good. So the larger, the bigger the Net Promoter Score, the better for you. So if you have 70 Promoter Score, that's brilliant. It's congratulations, you're doing great. You're obviously providing the best experience to the majority of your customer base. If it's the opposite, then this signals that the word of mouth is less likely your channel, and also it signals that there's some room for optimization in terms of product experience and customer experience that you're providing them with. In terms of the referral and incentive program, it is possible, but it's not possible for everyone to create a good referral incentive program, because it depends on many different factors. So for example, you have to look at the incentive. What kind of incentive you can provide people with? Is that incentive good enough? For example, in the early days of Dropbox, their referral and incentive program brought them the majority of their customers. And with help of their referral incentive program and their word of mouth, they actually grew and became the Dropbox we know today. So from that perspective, for some companies, referral incentive programs work amazing. For some companies, it is very hard to make it happen. But there is always a chance to make it work. So how are we going to make it work? There are 3 different questions that you can ask to identify if referral incentive program is going to work for you and how to make it work. So the first one is, when is the most organic native method of referral? So it is during the process, after first successful interaction, after several successful interactions, and during the call, which is the high touch interaction area for you. So if you identify the place where it's the best for you to ask for referral, that's already taking you closer to having a successful incentive program. Because sometimes, for example, I was talking to a fellow marketer recently, and for their company, they were initially building their referral incentive program after the experience. And they said, funny enough, we tested and we put the entire incentive program and referral program before the experience happened, when the user just signed up. And they're getting the better results from referral program when it's happening before the user actually got a good interaction, not after. And that's quite unique, and that's quite counterintuitive if you think from that perspective. But if you look and deep dive a little further, you understand that it makes total sense. And the reason why it makes total sense is because the customer, the prospect, when they came, at that moment, they're really, really happy. And they are probably very excited about using your product because they already went from awareness to consideration, and now they made their decision. So they think that their choice was correct. And if it's also paired with good brand awareness, then they will say, okay, I'm not doubting this product because I've heard about them before. Now I've seen all the amazing stuff that they are doing with their case studies and with the product, and I understand their value, so I can recommend it to my friend right away. And they do it before, not after. So understanding the place when you're going to inject your referral program is going to be really important. Then the second one is, what is the best incentive? Incentive is a key and a very important part of the referral program. Sometimes if you have a really, really good customer experience, you don't necessarily have to give incentive. You just have to ask for help and say, like, could you please recommend me to someone in your network? And but if you really do want to have the incentive, then it could be the money, it could be the service, it could be the upgrade to the new features, or it could be access to some exclusive content or exclusive part of your product that you normally do not give easy access to, basically. And the third question that you can ask to build a referral incentive program is, what are my distribution channels of a referral program? How am I going to make this happen? And how am I going to put this in front of my target audience, prospects, and customers? And that is inside the product. It might be the page on a website. It could be through activating partners, and it could be through advocates as well. So usually when you're building the referral incentive program, it will not necessarily work from the first iteration. At least on my experience, it usually works from the second and third. So when you just build it and you put your best hypothesis into play to see if this is the referral program that's going to work for and resonate with the customers, in a month or in half a year, it is usually the best to reassess and kind of think through and say, okay, did my hypothesis actually proved to be true, or is there anything I need to change? Maybe like instead of giving service, the best is going to be give to the money, or instead of injecting it in after the successful interaction, maybe we should do it during the call or during the process. So there will be a lot of optimizations that you'll have to do for a referral program, but if you make it work, that's going to be great for you. So I think we just covered the first ground, which was about the number of customers and about the traffic and number of leads, a little bit about brand awareness and net promoter score. Now we're moving to price per unit. And here we're going to cover a very important topic, which is product market fit and revenue maximization. So for product market fit, as I mentioned before, there are signs that you achieve product market fit, and there are signs that you are still in the process. So the reason for why product market fit is a big topic in marketing is because sometimes, and you probably have wondered about the same thing, is there are so many different companies and some of them become superstars and some don't. Like why Facebook became Facebook, why Instagram became Instagram. And sometimes the answer is really simple: is the right momentum in the right timing, in the right solution. So all the kind of like stars connected at one spot, and that's what made that product hype uber successful. So, and that's the sign that at that moment they had that product market fit. Versus sometimes we struggle and we're like, something is not going right. It feels like the solution is good, but you might be very early in the game. So like your product market fit will happen in 2 years, but because the market is not ready for your product just yet, there's not necessarily a fit for it. So it's always good to assess from that perspective. And that doesn't mean that I'm saying that you guys don't have product market fit. I'm just mentioning different variants that I have encountered in my practice. So let's move on to the signs that you achieve product market fit. So if you're currently, or if you feel like you are having good organic traction, so you're not putting way too much effort, and not every single customer that you're bringing is coming through the pain that you're experiencing and fighting for them, that's already a good sign. If you see the customer dependency on your product, that's great too. So if you talk to a prospect or a customer and they say, you know what, this is great, this is going to be so important for my daily life, to my lifestyle, to my business solutions, to my business processes, that's already great, because it signals that there is a fit in because you're solving the pain point of a customer. If you see repeat engagement, that's great too, because repeat engagement means that they are happy with what they're seeing. Now they're willing to do, and they're willing to spend more money or to do more with your product. Pricing compatibility: every time you talk with a customer or with your prospect, they're like, yeah, the pricing seems fine. I'm totally happy to pay this. There's no that much resistance. It also means that there's product market fit. Reduce lead times. It's not taking you a year or 2 years or just insanely long amount of time to convince the prospect and turn them into a customer. That's already a good sign. And then recognition of a pain. If they come back to you and they say, yes, exactly, that's the pain that I had, or they just repeat the pain that you are trying to solve themselves, that's already good. And then if you are seeing the natural referral and word of mouth happening. So if you're seeing all those signs, more than 2-3 signs, that's amazing. You're on a great path. If you want to see and measure product market fit really quickly, there's a very simple thing to do. Is what you're doing is you're basically asking them one question: is how disappointed would you be if you have to stop using my product? And if the answer is, I'm going to be very disappointed, amazing. You have the product market fit to that certain category, of course. If people are like, doesn't really matter, you're either not targeting the right people or there's still some room for optimization. And what are the signs that you are still in the process of achieving your product market fit? You see, as opposed to what we just saw, we see strong resistance from prospects. So in that situation, every time you're trying to convince them, they're not convinced, not ready, just keep bailing, something is off. So that means that there's still some room for optimization. Or you might be also talking to laggards and when you actually need early adopters. So you guys know that we have 4 different categories: early adopters, early majority, late majority, laggards. And so from that perspective, you need to know who your product is catering and who is the main target group that you're talking with. So if you're talking to laggards instead of early adopters, of course you will have the resistance. It means that it's not a question of the product market fit, as the question that you're not necessarily targeting the right group. Then if the customers or if the prospects are not upgrading, that's also a sign that there is not product market fit. You can ask what's the reason that they're not willing to pay for your product. They're not sticky. They're using for some time, but they end up just dropping off. That's also a possibility that there is some room for optimization. You are experiencing long sales cycles and your customers do not understand the product value. So please exclude the messaging issue. So if you're thinking that it's me, it's kind of like, we just need to do a better job in messaging the product, then it's one thing. And then another thing is when you know that the messaging and you have done your best to message your product in the proper way, but they're still not understanding the product value, it means that there's still some room for product market fit. One common misconception that I encounter when we work on product market fit question, it's sometimes entrepreneurs believe that once the product market is achieved, you can't lose it. But that's not true. The more you go, the more the behavioral changes happen within the demographic, the new players come into the game, the trends change. So that's why product market fit has to be assessed constantly. It is not something that came and then it went away. It will be easier as soon as you achieved it to sustain it, but it's not something that you just lose it. So like every time you think about that, think about Nokia and their example, how they were actually crushing the market and thinking that they're the best players. And then in a while, their senior management just didn't believe that they're in a position to lose it. But unfortunately they did. And then Apple and Samsung came and the game completely changed for them. Perspective, this is more for B2B side, I would say. So if you are looking to maximize your revenue, these are the 4 things that you can take a look at. One is the upgrade path. The second is feature service extension. The third one is the price increase. And the fourth is value metrics. So we will not talk today about upgrade path and feature service extension because it's a whole new branch and it requires a very serious approach to it. I will just really quickly mention that besides the key performance indicators and the regular metrics that you have, you also have to think about value metrics. So your value metrics, they assess and they look at your value that you're delivering. It's not necessarily numbers driven. So your pricing should be built around what your customer values in your product. So the value, it's not just, you know, the unit economics. It's not like this costs this. It is actually, is this a price that the customer is willing to pay? And that's for the exchange of the value you're delivering. And then like your value metric should also demonstrate impact and the goal of your product. It is not necessarily, it's not only about, you know, like we got 1,000 people visiting our website and then they converted into 100 paying customers. And your value metrics in B2B environment should also bring the core feature set that is important to your customer. So you have to think about the way how to demonstrate your value as fast as possible to your prospect. And that's the core into the value metrics. So like for that purpose, like if you have a line of feature sets, what you're doing is you're thinking about you're thinking about your core features that you feel the strongest and you think these are the features that the customer should see right away, and then show that upfront on the website when the customer onboards. All of that should be made for demonstrating your value as fast as possible, because the prospect usually is really, really short on time. So if they don't see things right away, they will only navigate for like 10 to 15 minutes. And if they don't understand what the product is about, they will just leave. So if you really want to know more about value metrics, I just recommend you to go and like just go to search and type in value metrics, and you can learn a little more about like specific types of value metrics. So now we're moving on to our third bucket, which is the repeat ratio. And in repeat ratio, this is where the true growth lives. So it is believed that if you're not able to sustain and if you're not able to retain your customers, then it is extremely hard to scale and grow your product. So from that perspective, making sure that there is a system that helps you to repeat the customer, to give them a repeated experience or retain them is really, really important. So retention-wise, the reason why retained customer is really, really important to us is because it's 5 to 25 times less expensive than acquiring a new customer. So imagine you have a product and you just sold it once. Now, if your customer is happy and if you have a system in place to sell it, to give the product every month, then in a year, it is 12x more value captured from the same prospect that is already acquired. So the cost for acquisition is 0, but the value is growing. So from that perspective, retention is critically important metric. And increasing customer retention rates just by 5% increases your profits by 25% to 95%. So working on optimizing your retention rates are really, really important for achieving our final metric that we talked about, which is revenue. I'm not gonna go into the details of how to calculate lifetime value, but I just want to introduce you to this metric, which is also very critically important. It doesn't really matter if you're assessing your business health or you're talking to investors. Knowing your lifetime value is going to be really important, and that's how much money one customer is bringing during the entire time they're doing business with you. So, for example, Starbucks. I think their cost per acquisition is something between $25, as far as I remember, and their lifetime value is more than $3,000. So for investors, it is just crazy numbers. They love seeing the higher the lifetime value, the better for them. So and for you, it means that you can make more money from the same customer. And the purchase frequency is another important metric to look at. It's the number of times an average customer buys the goods or services from the single seller at a given period of time. And the higher your purchase frequency, the better. This is actually true for both B2B and B2C. I think in B2B, it's kind of like everybody knows about that. In B2C, that's something you can be focused on. So when you do the SKU development, or when you introduce the new line, the new product development, R&D, innovation, all those things are really, really important for increasing this purchase frequency. And one more thing that I wanted to mention is the cohort analysis. If you are doing the marketing assessment of your retention, one important type of analysis to look at is the cohort analysis. Cohort analysis helps you assess the customers based on the time you acquired. So it puts the timestamp. What happened with the people who become my customers in November? What happens to the cohort group who came in December or January? So when you're looking month over month, week over week, you start to assess your marketing activities better, because you might see that, for example, November cohort was really quality cohort, and they turned out to be your best customers. And for example, January cohort wasn't as good. So at that point, the question that you can start asking to yourself is, what did I do in December or November that brought all those amazing customers? Maybe you run a new campaign and that was a very good campaign. While like in January, what's the reason? Like maybe we didn't run anything, and that's why it influenced the quality of the traffic and the quality of customers that came in from that cohort. So it gives you this longevity question and the very precise analysis of people and their behavior that has happened within the time frame. Please take into consideration that if you are in B2C business, there could be also a seasonality. So it means that some cohort might be stronger due to seasonality. So you have to take all those variables into assessment when you're making your decision. But cohort analysis is usually available in Google Analytics if you have it set up and activated. Also, on top of that, there are separate special tools that help you with your cohort analysis. And the final note on this part is the customer churn. So for customer churn, churn is the rate of churn is the percentage of your customers that leave your service over a given period of time. So as opposed to retention metrics, customer churn shows how many people actually decided not to proceed with you. And that's kind of a sad metric. So the shorter, the smaller the churn rate, the better for you. So if you are seeing the higher churn than normal, which is signaling that there's some room for optimization, you can ask those questions to yourself to kind of find the areas and for optimization and the blind spots for your current strategy, which is what are we as company doing to cause customer turnover? The second question is, what are our customers doing that's contributing to their leaving? What is the behavioral patterns that they're having right now? How can we better manage our customer relationships to make sure it doesn't happen? Because usually customer churn is the lack of understanding of the benefits, and the second one is poor customer experience. So either of those usually contribute into customer churn. Or of course, pricing. If you increase the price and then the people are not ready to pay that price, then they will churn as well. What are the roadblocks that we need to remove in order for customer to see the biggest value, to be happy? And the last one is, are we attracting wrong type of customers? Because if you're having a really high customer churn, that could potentially be due to the beginning of your journey, which is you're just not bringing the right set of customers. And as we talked, best fit customers, second level customers, and third level customers, maybe instead of focusing on your best fit customers, you just keep acquiring, third level customers. And those are the people who naturally have tendency for higher churn. In terms of the stickiness and habit formation, so we have two things to focus here. One is the habit formation, which is the usage frequency, monthly average users, monthly active users, daily active users, average length of session per daily active users, core functionality, service use. Those are the metrics that help you assess the stickiness and habit formation. So the more you have your customers building the habit around your product for often and frequent use, the better. It means that they're seeing the value and they're happy and they were more likely to stay with you. So if you really want to learn more, I suggest to read the book called The Hook by Nir Eyal, and I'll give you the link later as well with the workbook about the hook. It's basically how to build the stickiness and how to help your customers build the habit around your product. And the second part is the feedback loop. So collecting again the customer satisfaction rate, looking at their user behavior, and having the customer advisory board, which is a really great concept when you ask your customers to be on your advisory board and suggest you with your business strategy. That's also some good ideas and tactics for making sure you're collecting it properly. And I just wanted to mention this tool, which is usually something like Hotjar, Crazy Egg, all those tools help you with the heat maps. They show and indicate the areas how people are interacting with your website, and they give you those tools give you some hints in terms of what you can optimize in terms of the experience, and that helps you to collect the feedback without actually asking for their opinions. So now we are kind of like done with this map. I know that it's been really fast, and probably you wanted to have a little deeper, deeper dive into some sections, but due to our time restraints, I'm keeping this short this time because every part of this bucket actually is a full discipline, and we can talk 2 hours probably only about traffic, 2 hours about number of leads. But I wanted to give you the overview today, so if you want to focus on something, you know where to go. So consider this as your map. So if you are more interested in retention part for your business, then you can of course go and deep dive into retention stuff, which is like in internet you can find tons of really useful materials. Or if it's all about brand awareness or traffic, then of course you will be able to see more information on that point as well. So please consider this as your map, and then look at some of the areas and then do the extra step, or we can always connect later after the masterclass, and then we can talk about different areas that you're interested in or you would like to optimize for. And another thing that I wanted to quickly mention here is this is more practical. It is not connected to this roadmap, but that's one of the most asked questions by entrepreneurs. So I decided to include this. So if you are hiring a startup marketer, or you are planning to become a startup marketer yourself, then these are the 4 buckets that you have to consider, or you have to kind of like close for your company in order to have the effective marketing stack and strategy. So one part is communication. Anything related to communication skills, which is storytelling, copywriting, messaging, that's going to be really important for making, again, that number, like revenue number, happen. The second part is design. Anybody who knows WordPress, or maybe you're interested in learning WordPress, Photoshop, video production, any visual assets are becoming really strong, or maybe you're looking for hiring someone, then definitely this is a very recommended bucket for you to hire for startup marketing. In terms of advertising, it usually comes into the shape of paid digital, earned media, and offline, which is like event. Earned media is your blog. It might be the media coverage. Paid digital is Google ads, LinkedIn ads, Instagram ads, and all of that. So if you have somebody covering this area, That's going to be helpful for you as well. And then analytical wise, from the point of analytics, it's all about Google Analytics, tracking, and funnel building. So if you have somebody or you are building the skill set, then please take a look at this area as the core, because digital analytics is impossible without understanding all the fundamentals and foundations of data-driven marketing and analytics. So the last topic here for today is when to turn on your marketing engine. And that's, again, one of the most asked questions during the startup stage. So for example, I'm not quite sure if you're pre-revenue, revenue, or you're scaling up your business, but one of the most asked questions is, Mira, when should I scale my marketing activities? Should I start putting ads right away, even if I just launched my product? Should I wait and do more sales stuff in the beginning and then go into active marketing expansion and like resources, like which is hiring, bringing the budget, starting to think about resources and all the KPIs. So this is the short roadmap that I'm putting here, which is usually the stages of marketing engine, which is the first one is ideation. This is where you have to do the proper market research. The second is development of the product. This is where marketing is less important, maybe just a little bit of focus groups and collecting of the early feedback, which is also happening during testing stage. So the involvement of marketing here is that you have to collect and understand the early market signals and do the message testing. So if you do the message testing and you capture the early market signals, that will help you further down with your scaling strategies. And it means that you are less likely to drain the budget for things that you wouldn't drain otherwise. You wouldn't spend otherwise. During the process of launch, if you launch your product, you have to have all your basic marketing assets ready, which is the website, or like some of the documentation, downloadable content, blog posts, all those things happen during the launch period. And then for validation, because it's all about customer journey, and during the validation time, it is more about product market fit and product pricing fit. So during the validation stage, it is really important to hyper focus on understanding if there is this product market and pricing fit. And then on the expansion, this is where you actually turn on all your marketing engine, put the budget, do the acquisition programs, and do like full scale marketing. And if you have done all these steps properly, you are less likely to have leaky bucket problem here, or just spend money in the wrong channels. So please consider having all these steps in place. It doesn't really matter which stage you are at, but hopefully this is going to help you a little bit with understanding that process as well. And on that note, I want to thank you for being today with me. Hopefully it streamlined a little bit the whole marketing process. Again, my compliments to you for being here for the entire time and actually listening into all the pretty complex topics here. And as I mentioned, like now we're ready to move on to Q&A. So if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to move on to any parts of the presentation that felt like you had a question about, or just like general questions as well. Welcomed. Okay, so I have two questions here. One is coming from Sami, and Sami is asking what is CTA. So CTA, and sorry for not explaining that right away, but CTA is called okay, so it's call to action. So call to action means that you are basically what is the final action that you're taking? You're wanting your customers to take. Is it buying? Is it converting? Is it requesting a demo? Is it downloading some content piece? Free trial? All those are considered to be call to actions, which is CTA. The second question I have here is, do you have any recommendations on good good website programs with a good cell phone viability, easy to use shopping cart, and good social media cross-marketing ability, including ease of use? So Wendy, let me follow up with you on this later, because I do have, but I need to pull my notes in order to get you the names. So I think it's best if I just follow up with you on that. And another question I'm seeing here is, with a referral program, what is the dance? Pros, cons, best practices, with who to offer the incentive? All new clients or just those that might click or mention they saw it? Also, okay. So for referral programs, it is usually the best to offer it to your existing clients, because they already had some experience with you and they already had some interaction with you. From that perspective, they're more likely to refer you to their friends and family and network. But you can also try with your new customers who just signed up, because at that moment, as I said, they're in the emotional buy-in stage, when they're happy that they converted and made this decision. And at that stage, they could be actually referring you to others. But it's not recommended to do it to the people who have never encountered your product, for sure. Okay, so I think I'm not seeing any more questions right now. I'm still keeping a little bit of time if you guys have anything else to ask. Otherwise, please get back to me in LinkedIn. As I said, like, about any parts of the presentation, I'll be happy to address that and explain that. If I know that it's been a little too fast, so that's why I'm willing to help and explain you other parts of the presentation that could be not necessarily like 100% covered. And okay, so I have one question here, again, coming from Sammy. How much does Volition charge for advice? So we currently have different types of packages, and the pricing usually drops after if you book more than one. So I think the one session is around $250. We can come up later with those numbers as well, and I can provide you with the links. But if you have like 3 packages, it drops to 160. If it's like 10 sessions, then it's even cheaper. So it depends. So I think the best to explain you, like, and the best number to give you is actually the exact number, which means that it's better for me to follow up with that information with you later. Thank you, Wendy, for compliments. I'm really happy that you guys found this presentation helpful. Thank you, Nick, for that. And I don't think that we have any other questions left. So I think we can just say bye to each other for today. And I guess if you find me, I'm gonna be. Let me put my LinkedIn link here for you in case you want to connect with me later. Okay, there you go. Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and hopefully your marketing strategy will be a little clearer after that. Again, digital marketing is usually not a walk in the park. It takes time to clarify all the areas, make things work. But so please feel free to iterate, try several things, stay creative, and of course, in this time, stay healthy. And hopefully, you guys are gonna grow your business and If you have any other questions, as I said, I'm very happy to help you and answer those questions in LinkedIn. Okay, bye guys.